Can I fit 2 more on here for now? We have bees on the roof here. I have 5 different spots in Queens beside here, and then I have 1 spot in Long Island. That's what we're doing today. Those 7 places. So what happens is the spinning, it will throw the honey to the side wall, which will then drop the honey down to the bottom. And if you could look straight down from the center, you'll see the honey is actually down there. That's now going into the bucket. Each batch, we're running about 20 minutes. So we have to cut the wax capping so that the honey will come out. Otherwise the honey would stay in even if we're spinning it. After we cut the cappings, we put it into the centrifuge. Sometimes we'll see that we missed a little wax and we'll have to re-scrape it. The wax that's cut off, I save it at home and melt it down eventually and give it to people who make things with it. Lip balms, candles, shoe polish, furniture polish, you can do 1 more. In New York City, there are over 200 species of native bees that include bees, wasps, and hornets. The only species that we get honey from is not a native species, and that's the honeybee. And the honeybee comes from Europe to New York. Yeah, bees are not native to North America. They started in China and they worked their way over to Europe thousands of years ago, to the Middle East and to Europe. And then they came over to the US in the bottom of ships in hives. They were brought over on purpose, not by accident, for the purpose of making honey and stuff. Native Americans called them white man flies because of the white man, and they also stung. That's how bees got here. And then New York has a long history of beekeeping. Just because it's not native to New York, it's part of New York now. It's part of the lifestyle in New York. Having beehives is all part of the lifestyle, and we got to take care of them. And that's why I like taking people and mentoring them. Esther,
Yeah.
you have 3 more to squeeze.
Okay.
Be careful. Wait,
No, I'm
get
just
the other
joking.
one. Shake it, babe, shake it. Wait. Draw it down there. Caps are up here in the pail. Keeping bees is not easy. It's fun, but it's also not fun because it's my responsibility to take care of millions of lives. Honeybees don't need help. We don't need more honeybees. We have plenty. We don't need more beekeepers. We have plenty. What we need is more flowers, which will help all the bees in New York. Many people put stuff in honey that's not part of the honey so they can make more honey out of a little bit of honey. Legally, honey has to be 100% straight from the beehive, like we're doing now. People are adding stuff to the honey to be able to sell it for a cheaper price. It's illegal to do that. Normally, if it's in the comb, it's real. It's very hard to and make it fakely, but anything else could be fake. The comb is real and the honey could be fake. So what happens is some people put a piece of comb inside a jar and then fill the jar with honey. That's silly. I guess the guys that harvest comb will do that if they have extra that didn't fit in the comb box. They're not putting the same honey in there that is in the comb. So to me, that's silly and I wouldn't buy it. But the worst thing is they can also be putting in high fructose corn syrup, which would be fake honey. And that's not legal and they can't call it honey. But as we know in the world, many people do things that aren't legal. I've read many articles that say up to 80% of the honey that you find in a supermarket that says just real honey on it has stuff added to it. The only way you know you're getting real honey is to get it from a beekeeper, and worse than that, it has to be a beekeeper you trust. Each hive has a different smell. Bee from one hive can't go into another hive. The other bees will just kill her like she's an intruder. So just taking a bee and letting it, because you found a bee in your car or something, and putting it on top of another hive doesn't mean that you're helping it. It just means you're going to get her killed by other bees. Bees' brains are the size of the tip of a pin. How smart can you be? What they do is all based on years and years of instinct. Everything they do is instinctual. It's amazing how they work together, and that's because they're called a superorganism, which a superorganism is when many single living beings all work for one purpose. So each little honeybee with their little brain all works together for the purpose of the hive, protecting the hive and preserving their species. Other animals that are like that are carpenter ants, ants in general, and termites. Those are all called superorganisms as well. They pass that pheromone around in the hive, and that's how the hive knows if there's still a queen in the hive, and it knows by the amount of that pheromone how healthy the queen is. If the hive determines that the queen is not healthy, they will kill the queen. And the way they kill the queen is they will ball her up. A bunch of bees will get on top of the queen, and they will heat up by just moving their muscles to create heat. And they'll heat it up so they basically boil her. And then they take eggs that are in the hive and they feed those eggs royal jelly so that they can make a new queen. They don't choose a queen, they choose to make a queen. Engineers have figured out that a hexagon uses the least amount of material and stores the most amount of material when you use that for storage, and which is honeybees are using the hexagon for storage. When you put honey in the tea, what you're doing is improving the tea. You're not damaging the honey. Honey is meant to be for them to eat and to feed their babies, and they happen not to feed it in tea, they feed it just by itself. But we're smart and we learn different things we could do with honey, and one of the best things you could do is put it in tea. I know many people that use honey in their coffee now. So putting honey in something hot is okay. The local brewers I know use honey to make beer. They use these sugar in the honey. When it ferments, creates alcohol, and it also leaves some of the flavor of the honey in the beer. Honey's good, it doesn't get bad. When you heat it, it will lose some of the health benefits, but it doesn't ever get dangerous when you heat it. In general, I want people to understand that if they're health conscious, honey is the only natural sweetener that isn't processed. It's the only one.